Oh, that's right.
We are now bringing in someone for whom I, it's going to be very exciting. And let's first bring in our guy.
Can I just say that you're bringing in Eoin, the second Eoin, that is not as handsome as the next man coming on.
That's like pretty much spitting in my face off the bat. Not even a hello. How are you? How you doing?
Well, first we made you sit backstage for half an hour because we didn't want to destroy the incredible chemistry that we have with Lee Dixon.
I was slightly grateful for that because I'm pretty sure he hates me, Lee. After that question, I'm still slightly fearful of him. Still love the man, Arsenal legend, but I'm kind of afraid of him. I'm traumatized slightly.
How jealous were you that you weren't part of our three-way high five?
Not very jealous. That was one of the most awkward things I've ever witnessed in my life.
You know what though? It was awkward, but Lee decided to bring it.
It was his idea, I think. Yeah, it's his idea. So you know what my idea is let's bring on our next guest, who is coming off of a great few weeks with some amazing women, and that sounds really strange. But with that intro, Simon Collings from the Evening Standard. How are you?
I'm very good, guys. How are we doing?
Now, you said you'd be calling from the platform. I didn't realize the platform was the name of a pub.
Yeah, the platform is a pub.
Good for you.
I know. I'm having a
Where exactly are you joining us from in this festive environment?
I'm in a pub near Trafalgar Square, and I'm having a well-earned pint after a few weeks of, a lot of work. So
yes, that's fantastic. I should tell my daughter that would be hilarious if she's already at this pub. She's at some pub right now in London.
If there's one man that I would never send my daughter,
that's true.
It's Collins.
That's true. So, football writer for the Evening Standard, second best hair on this panel right now. Covers a little bit Watford, a lot of bit Arsenal, and lately embedded in the Three Lionesses. Eoin, do you realize that it has finally come home? And how does that make you feel, hater of Lions of Three?
You want to know what? This is actually a question that I was thinking of earlier in preparation for this, and I'll throw it to Simon, okay? Because as a dude with two young daughters, it was surprisingly good for me to see. I'm not ashamed to admit, I normally actively cheer on the opponent of the England national team, but this time round, seeing the Lionesses lift it, for what that can do for attracting young girls towards the game, how big of a step do you think that is culturally now?
Massive. And I think, I was with my colleague at the game yesterday, and, he just had, a few weeks ago, he just had his first kid, and he was like, in 2-3 years' time, when I'm thinking about taking my daughter to her first game, where am I going to take her? And he was like, this is where I'll take her. The environment was so accepting. It was so friendly. And I just kind of feel like, I think we've been sleeping on women's football as a society, and everything we've done, I think we've overlooked it. And now it's been thrust in our faces. But I think it's changed. I think everything has changed from this moment onwards. And I felt like last night was the watershed moment. And the FA and everyone in England, we've been waiting for this watershed moment. And last night it was thrown in our faces. And now, if women's football doesn't change from last night, it will never change. It won't ever change.
Yeah. Now, did you cover the men's Euros last summer as well?
I did a bit of it. And I heard from a lot of people about the day of shame. I don't know how to describe it. The day of shame of Wembley, when that evening where I spoke to my colleague yesterday. We were at the same game today when England were playing. He was like, at 3:00 from Wembley last year, you knew that this was going one way, and it was going to be horrible. And yesterday I walked up Wembley Way and I saw young families getting their face painted. I saw young girls hugging their dads and being like, let's go, this is what it was. And it was like chalk and cheese from what you'd have seen a year ago.
That was really what I wanted to ask you, was the contrast of just the entire feel. I mean, the final, obviously, it's been well publicized how bad that situation was versus how incredibly inclusive and great yesterday was. but just the overall tournament in general, it just seemed like a dream this summer.
Yeah,
not just because England won it, but just because of the way everything kind of went off and the fact that it was all in England as opposed to just the final.
Yeah, I mean, if England hadn't won it, it'd have been the same. Like, and I don't think I appreciated it until I'd lived it and reported on it, and you were in that moment, and yeah, you just kind of felt like you just felt safe. And I know that sounds ridiculous going to a football game, but you felt like you could be yourself. You didn't think about anything else. And I kind of felt like a lot of people when I was walking up Wembley Way on Sunday afternoon, and you looked around at all those people who had come with their young kids, they'd come with their families, and this was a big moment for them, to bring your kids to Wembley Stadium when it's a final and just be accepted. And there was no worries about any of them. And this is what football should be. It should be inclusive. It shouldn't be about, are you scared about bringing your kids to come to a game? And it sounds, kind of crazy, but I feel like the women's game was showing the men's game that this is how football should be.
Yeah.
This is how you should be. You should be able to go to a game and feel inclusive. You should be able to go to a game and feel like everyone there is supporting you. And I've not felt that for a long, long time.
So, Simon, obviously with that England squad, there was plenty of Arsenal ladies at the forefront of that squad throughout the international tournament, not just for England. But when you look at something that was in my mind as well, was obviously Maria Petri sadly passed away recently. And we look at, she obviously has so much commitment, not only to the men's team, but the women's team and the youth teams. And something that I was almost slightly ashamed of is the fact that you claim to love Arsenal, but you're only loving a small percentage of what that club actually is and what it represents. But what do you think that the clubs can now do, clubs like Arsenal, for example, to really push the women's side to the forefront, almost on a level playing field with men? Is there any avenues that the club can explore, ticket price reduction, stuff like that?
Yeah, I mean, for me, I think the stage is set. Like, if you want anything to set the stage up for the women's game, England beating Germany at Wembley in front of 90,000, you cannot get any better than that. And I kind of feel like for Arsenal, who've been very good in terms of like the way they've tried to push the women's game, I think now it's time for them to take the next step forward, because you've got the England captain is your player. Go and take the step forward and say, look, right, we've got Leah Williamson. She is Arsenal through and through. She is our standard bearer. We're going to put her front and centre and follow her. And I think over this next year, I'm really intrigued to see how the clubs do it. Because if I was Arsenal, I'd be saying, right, okay, this is Leah Williamson. We've got the England captain. If you want to come watch her play, it's going to cost you sort of £4 or £5. Come down on a Saturday evening, a midweek, and come watch her play. And I think for a lot of the WSL clubs, they need to ride this wave. And if they don't, they're missing a trick.
What's the pro and con about having the women play more often at the Emirates rather than Meadow Park? I mean, I've been to see them at Meadow Park a couple of times. It's a great kind of little atmosphere, if you want to call it that. And I say that without scorn or mocking, but just it is what it is. And it's packed and it's exciting in its environment. At the Emirates, you might not get 60,000 every game. You might not get 30 or 35,000 every game, but it elevates the level and the squad to have them play them more, doesn't it?
Yeah, it's a fine balance, and actually Leah was really good speaking the other day about it, where she was sort of saying, for the players, like they're so used to playing at Boreham Wood, which is where like the home is, but they know they need to take that game to the next level, and I think this tournament and everything that's come with it is sort of it almost pushed them out of their comfort, and they realise, like, if we want to take this game to the next level, we need to push it. And I think for those players, those games at the Emirates, I'm so intrigued to see what the sort of ticket sales are, because I was hearing, just a couple of days ago that like 400% of Google searches were through the roof for people trying to get tickets to those women's game. Like, they had gone absolutely mental. And I think the people will be really surprised at the number of people they get for those women's games. Like, I think before, when they put those tickets on sale, a couple of weeks ago, I don't think they realised how big after this Euros those sales will be.
Do you think, Simon, and sorry for jumping in, boys, but it's just that this could potentially come across as negative, and I don't want it to look like that, but something that I actually talked to the boys about in one of our WhatsApp groups was it's extremely funny that you see when the English men's team are doing well within the British media, the push and stuff, the agenda that the media take to push, positivity out there surrounding the team. And it's funny, almost, it's a sensitive subject, but almost like the sexualization of a women's team after such a glorious triumph in the sport. Do you think that the media has a responsibility, as you said, to ride this wave and to really push this as well? Do you feel, as a journalist, a sense of responsibility to do that yourself?
100%. And I kind of feel like the biggest thing for like us as a media organization is to, I mean, this sounds kind of weird, but like criticize them in the same way we do the men's team. Mm-hmm. Like, if they're shit, just say they're shit, call them out. And I don't know if the women's players will want to hear that, but like, if that's what they want to be in that same level, then say if they're terrible. If they're bad,
I would think that they would. I mean, I don't know, but I mean, equality is equality in both directions, right?
Yeah, and if you're bad, you need to be told you're bad. And I think that for me is the next step for the women's game, is like calling them out and saying, look, if the performance was bad, you say it was bad. You don't sort of treat them.
Misogynistic about criticism.
Yeah, and I think there's an element where you can understand, maybe say like, is this like a cheerleader element, which is maybe makes sense if it's the English football, but like, are we cheerleading that team doing well, and do we need to criticise them? Because if the men crashed out in the quarterfinals, which could have happened for England quite easily, would we have chastised them? Yeah, and I think that's where the women's game needs to go.
I wonder, so I assume when you look at the WSL, like Arsenal Women's is owned by the Cronkies, right? Like I know when Thomas bought Charlton, part of his package was he was buying the women's program as well. So I don't know.
Thomas bought Charlton.
I don't know if all the teams are separately owned, but if you want to just, you could almost say to someone with a season ticket package, hey, part of your season ticket package is going to come with 10 matches to a WSL match, right? I mean, why not do that? Then it gives your season ticket holders the option to go, yeah, I'll go down to the Emirates and watch the women's game. I'm on the website right now. First ticket.
It's coming.
I think Simon's got company. We've seen and now heard from the company.
I think you would get very impressive. Like if you said to, you guys know from being in the tour with America, if you said to Arsenal fans, look, you pay an extra 10 quid to come and see all 6 Arsenal games at the Emirates, how many do you think would do it?
Yeah. Everyone.
They'd pay. And I think it's like an easy market to happen, isn't it?
Yeah. Or have the matches prior to the men, right?
Or directly after.
Or directly, to say, hey, we're gonna
just stay and have another drink and
Mm-hmm.
And for that you can drink in your seat maybe because I just need those rules to change. So obviously with the Women's World Cup happening at the same time, with the Women's Euros happening at the same time as the Arsenal Summer Tour, were you given a choice? Was it kind of was there a primary? Because with you, me, James McNicholas, and Kaya could have had all the women. It just and instead we just stood around like the circus freaks.
We could have. We would not have had all the women. I'd have had the slim pickings.
No, mate, you would have been fine.
It would have been like
Mike was sending videos in the WhatsApp group, and it was like the Undateables. It was wild.
It would have been like the circus strongman walking into the nightclub with the freaks behind him, like the tall guy, the bald guy, and the fat Jew. But I mean, was there any piece of you that wanted to? I mean, obviously you can't be in two places at one time, but
yeah. So we sort of debated as a news desk, like where was the best place to go, and we kind of banked on like the women's Euros being the biggest story of the summer, which we kind of lucked out on because it was. But to be fair, all the stories we've seen from like Arsenal America have been very big, and yeah, like the access has been very good, and yeah, it's kind of been surprised me how good the access has been and how much like I've seen the positive messages.
Yeah, I mean, they even let a guy like me, behind the scenes. It was pretty much just they just invited everyone in to watch. So, let's get, before I forget, and then we'll really start talking about the Arsenal men's team a bit. But let's get your top four for the Premier League, your relegated three. And as we are doing with each of our guests, a prediction about football. It could be Arsenal, it could be Premier League, it could be anything that might surprise people that you think might come true this year. So, top four.
I mean, I had to do my top four the other day for work. So I did Manchester City champions, Liverpool second, Tottenham third. I mean, I've seen that's gone down pretty badly. Arsenal fourth, and then the bottom three I went for Leeds, Everton, Bournemouth.
That's my exact bottom three, by the way.
Yeah.
I don't have the same top four, but yeah, the same bottom three. Now, any
I kind of feel this Tottenham finishing above Arsenal will not go down well, but that was my feeling.
You have to be a man of integrity, and if you believe something, and if you've already gone on record with something, you obviously you got to keep it up. Anything that you kind of have that you think might surprise people that's going to happen this year, and in football just in general?
I don't know. I kind of think people will be surprised by, like, there's a lot of apathy for the sort of Winter World Cup Qatar, but I actually, certainly in the UK, I think people will be surprised about how much they like it. I don't know you guys like in the US, but in the UK, we quite like getting really drunk when it's Christmas.
But isn't it? It's uninterrupting the festive fixtures, really, isn't it, though? Because Boxing Day fixtures are starting back.
Yeah, it's a agree, but I kind of think people love, the Christmas fixtures in football, and I think like if it's a World Cup at Christmas, everyone's getting drunk in London. I think it might actually go down better than people think. Like from the outside looking in, you'd be like, oh, this is gonna be terrible. I actually think.
Well, the finals are. the finals on
the 18th of December, and then we're playing
the 18th.
Carabao.
I thought it was like the 12th or 13th. So,
yeah, no, it's the 18th, and then the Carabao's on the sort of 21st of December. So,
Jesus.
I mean that's an undersell, but I actually think you'll be surprised. I think people might like it more than they think.
All right, so the surprise is people will like Winter World Cup.
Yeah, people will like.
How are we going to judge whether that came true or not?
Yeah,
we're going to have to go out and talk to every person. And do a poll. All right, so far, total agreement amongst the esteemed guests about the City Liverpool 1-2 thing. I think we're going to find that quite a bit. So now Arsenal, are you as positive as everyone seems to be going into this new season? I mean, are you getting swept up in this whole Arsenal positivity thing?
Yeah, I mean, it's difficult to not be immensely positive, isn't it? I mean, how can you guys not be positive?
I know some people that are finding a way.
No, who's not being positive?
We don't name him on the podcast.
But it almost kind of feels like it's gone too well that it feels very un-Arsenal. I mean, that sounds like ridiculous, but like. But
this is the thing though. Usually this is in season, not surrounding a transfer window or something.
I was thinking the other day, I was sort of writing a preview for the the general season. I was like, I'm trying to think of a season where pre-season has been this good and this positive. I literally couldn't think of it. I don't know. You guys might know better than me.
Because Arsenal
when
in
was
general,
the season where it's been this good?
Well, 1967, I remember, was a really good summer. But
well, you know what this all leads to is us losing Friday.
Yeah, Arsenal will lose at Palace. Arsenal will lose.
Well, because
1-0.
They're the
will score one goal of the season, and
they're the contrarian team. I mean, every time the general sentiment is we've turned that corner, then we go out and lose to Everton, like we did last year, or we go and shit the bed against Newcastle or something like that. And every time we think things are as bad as they could possibly be, we go away to Chelsea and put 4 past them. So we always do it's almost the I learned about in business school, the contrarian investment approach. Like when consumer sentiment is positive about something, you sell. When it's negative, you buy. And it could be.
Are you buying Arsenal shares tonight, or are you selling Arsenal shares?
I'm sorry?
Are you buying Arsenal shares tonight, or are you selling?
Well, if you follow the norm, you would be selling them tonight because you get a good, when we lose to Palace, as we would do.
We know this happens. We know.
Yeah, but it's never quite been like this with the summer. I mean, the way that this team is playing, if we go into the season healthy, you just get the sense that something's different. And that I never predict us to win because as soon as I do, we start this awful stretch. So I'm always predicting 2-2 draws and stuff. But I just don't know how. I love that we're starting at Palace because I've been at Palace like 4 out of the last 5 years, and it's a hellhole.
It's a marker, isn't it? It's like a marker. If you win at Palace on the first day,
there's more to gain than to lose in this one, I think, because if we can do this, it's like exercising demons, and then it's like, oh, who do we have the next week? What, Bournemouth or something? It's like we can do that. The Palace, and if we lose the Palace game, most people were expecting us to when the schedule came out anyway. So I like it. If you've got chat room, any user questions for Simon? Simon's with us until if you've got to duck out a little bit early because people are pawing at you and stuff and singing in your ear, just let us know. But are you good for another 10-20 minutes?
I'm good. All
right. Perfect. So make sure to put your user questions in the chat. Eoin, Andy, got anything for Simon?
Yeah, I was just going to touch on there, Simon. Obviously, Mikel Arteta has come out and says that Arsenal still want to do business in the remainder of this window. Obviously, the positions that are probably highest up on that priority list is a wide forward for competition or backup for Bukayo Saka, or central midfield, Yuri Tielemans being linked. In that wide forward role, that is a market that seems really limited because obviously Mikel Arteta likes that inverted type winger. Who are the players that you would look to as realistic options for Arsenal to approach?
Yeah, it's so difficult, isn't it? Like, I kind of feel like if you're not going to upgrade on Pepe, which for me is obviously the literal barometer, if you're not going to get somebody who's better than that, then what are you doing? And when it was communicated that Pepe was going to be sold and going to get rid of, Isco was the player that I thought Arsenal would go for, kind of because I think we can get him on. I think Isco's free. You can get Asensio as another. Isco. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Isco. Yeah, and Asensio is another player from Real Madrid who we're looking to get rid of. And that's the sort of player I thought Mikel would go for because I think Pepe's biggest weakness is that he's been an out-and-out winger. And that basically he's a player who only plays on the right wing. He's not someone who plays left or right. That's his role. And basically, if he's not starting right wing, he's not playing in the team. And I thought for Asensio and Isco, those are sort of players who would suit Arteta's system where they can play right wing, they can play attacking centre mid, they can play on the left. And for me, that's been a big difference for Arsenal. And I think when they go get someone who's going to possibly play on the wing for them. And that's certainly my understanding is that they want to sign another winger. It will not be someone who's an out-and-out right winger. It'll be someone who can play right wing, centre mid, left wing. If they can't get it done, they will not push for it. And that's the biggest thing you've seen from Arsenal in the last windows. If they cannot get the player they want, they will not push for it. I think people were up in arms in January. We didn't get a striker, and it was like, well, they've waited and they've got Jesus. That's the player they wanted. And if you tried for Jesus in January, you would be told where to go.
Yeah. Chris wants to know when the last time was. I mean, he wants the date, the exact moment when you were this excited about an Arsenal team going into the season.
I mean, this is it. I mean, when have you been? I was trying to think about it before we came on here. I was like, I don't know. I
15,
really don't know.
Back 14, 15, maybe, because
it sounds mental, but it was that season, was it 15-14, where Arsenal didn't sign an outfield player?
Yeah,
and I was still so fucking excited.
Because we had just finished second, I think.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. 15-16 was it? Yeah. Of course it was. Yeah.
But the landscape has changed so much because the top four were so close at that time, but the top two weren't that far away from fourth. But now, to bridge that gap from third to first it's never been bigger, right?
Yeah, I mean, I kind of feel like Liverpool and City are on a different plane. Like, I don't know how you get close to them, but I think that gap from third to seventh is really open. Like, I put Arsenal in there, I put Chelsea in there, I put Tottenham in there, I put West Ham in there, I put maybe Leicester in there. And I feel like Arsenal, for the first time in years, I can look at that team and I think, yeah, that's the top 4 team. And I've not felt that for years.
Before we do our next prize rocket, we're about to enter hour 3 of 27. Just want to encourage everybody, please go to goonersvcancer.com, donate. We've got a steady stream of donations going in. We are up to, just for today's donations, we are up to $1,400 with the most recent donation from Ramon, Mikhail, always very generous. Caitlin Carver as well donated. Jerome Marks, Josh Rosenfeld, Mark Loke, thank you for your donations during the podcast today. The next drawing is for a Ruth Beck art print. And I've got a variety of Ruth Beck art prints here, and I'm picking them out randomly. This one is for the gold Dennis Bergkamp Ruth Beck art print. And we will pick the winner right now as we go into the 5 o'clock hour Eastern time. Simon, have you heard about Ruth Beck and seen her art?
No. But it looks very good art.
You need to check her out. You go to buyruthbeckart.com. She does Highbury kind of scenes, Emirates scenes, Arsenal legends. She's amazing, and she's incredibly, incredibly generous to the pod. In fact, she'll be on tomorrow morning at I think in the 8 o'clock hour UK time. So
if she's bearing you guys, what is she doing?
It.
She'll be on. She's a lovely, lovely person. She'll be on at 8 o'clock a.m. tomorrow morning UK time.
She's a saint. She's a saint.
She absolutely is. So let's get this randomizer up on the screen here. By the way, a rule that I almost forgot to mention, but one person can win no more than one non-art prize and one art prize. So you can win one Ruth Beck art. You can win one jersey type of prize. If your name comes up again a second time, we'll redraw, and then everybody gets a chance to win the grand prize, no matter what you've won so far. So let's get to the final draw here. The winner of the Ruth Beck Dennis Bergkamp print, Seth Thomas. Congratulations, Seth. I know that you were going to be watching. So, Seth, you have won a Ruth Beck art print, and you still have a chance of winning a signed shirt or a new jersey and the grand prize. but you're now on the list for the Ruth Beck Art Dennis Bergkamp print. So congratulations to you. And we are now in our 3. So Simon, let's getting back to the Arsenal. I was going to ask a question, and now it's completely left my mind.
I've got one.
Okay, go ahead.
If that's okay. Simon, obviously, Mikel Arteta was often bashed with the stick of William Saliba and the treatment that he received since Mikel Arteta came in. How do you think that has sort of panned out now that you're looking at how well this guy is adapting to life at Arsenal? Obviously, he still has a lot of tests in front of him, but is this a case of we should have been playing this dude all along, or this was the perfect sort of handling of that situation?
No, so interesting. I remember speaking to someone at the club when all the furore was basically kicking off about why is Saliba not playing? And I remember someone said to me, was like, hang on a minute, like, do you realise, Mikel and Ben Napier, who's the loan manager, was like, do you think they might have actually had a plan for Saliba? Like, he costs £28 million. Like, they're not going to just consign him to the dump. And I think they've actually, whether they've sort of stumbled across that plan is debatable. But I think the way it's worked out has been really, really, really beneficial for Arsenal. And I think what we've seen from Saliba over these past 2-3 weeks, for me, I think when I was told basically when he came back this pre-season, he would be given an opportunity to state his claim for the first team. And it was like, if he's good enough, we'll play him. If he's not good enough, he's going to go. We'll sell him. And they've been blown away by Saliba. That was what I was told. And he's basically said, look, this guy needs to be in the first team. And I kind of think some coaches at Arsenal knew that was going to be the case, and some coaches thought, wow, this guy's a real deal.
It's kind of amazing how people just assume, though, that had he never been excommunicated back to France, which is the narrative that some people choose to have, that he would have just been better than what we had those first 2 seasons. Sometimes it takes a while for a flower to bloom, even if when it blooms, it's going to be a beautiful flower. So,
Look at you, Pod. Nonsense.
I'm artistic AF.
I come with maybe it's a societal thing where you just like you're due like an instant gratification, and people deliver now. And I think Saliba is an example of where you just wait for things to deliver, and it might not happen now, but it will happen in one day. And I think we've realised that Arsenal fans just wait for it to happen. It might not happen this day, but one day you'll get what you're waiting for. Negative Mike Herz doesn't think that Saliba will extend his contract, even though I've heard that he had already, or that he was in meetings. What's the latest inside scoop from the Evening Standard on Saliba's contract extension? Because it was a topic of discussion on the summer tour. Yeah, well, you could tell me more from what we've heard on the summer tour, but it's an interesting one. If I'm Saliba, I'm not signing anything.
There's really only one reason for him to sign, and that's if they double his wages or more.
If you throw money at me, I'm signing it and I'm penning it. But if I'm anything else, I'm waiting a year. I'm going to wait a year's time and see what you throw at me. How much do you even pay me? I'm William Saliba now, and I'm not being paid what I'm going to be paid in a year's time.
He does kind of hold all the cards at this point, but
what was the word on the US tour?
Oh, just that there was that it was either very close or it was impending. I mean, nothing that you wouldn't have seen getting out there on Twitter. It's not like when the cameras went off of Arteta, he's like, yeah, we're gonna get it taken care of. It'll be fine. When you there was a media event the other day, if I remember correctly, either a press conference or something. I know Tom Canton was telling me that all the names were there. Was there something at the Emirates a few days ago?
there was an event quite recently for the All or Nothing documentary.
Right.
Okay. I think you'll see things coming out Tuesday night.
Yeah,
Tuesday
that
night, UK time.
I think that's what it was about. How many of the journalists that were on the American tour brought me up?
Yeah, I mean, there was a big thing. Actually, like, there was a kind of moment where Mikel was like, "We need to just call out Mike here and say, like, we need to kibosh this." He was like, "Yeah, we need to."
At that event, Mikel Arteta was poking his head through the door, going, "Is that fucking fat Jewish guy here again?"
He looked, but by the end of the tour, he looked so like PTSD from seeing me everywhere he went. So yeah, I mean, I just wanted to ask, if I made an impression on, if Mark Irwin still gets the first 9 questions, or if anything had changed there, but you don't have to comment on that.
Simon, how do you push your way into asking questions when the likes of Irwin and
where are you on the pecking order? Because I have observed there is a pecking order for sure, and I'm in the. I hope I can get one in before it ends.
Do they push you away because of your good looks? I guess that's what we're asking.
Mikel and him just lock eyes, and they're like, "We're the two best looking guys in the room."
I bet Simon and Mikel just nod to each other, and they both know they're just complimenting the head of hair.
I am like bottom of the pecking order.
Below Tom Canton? No, you can't be.
Yeah, I'm like minimal. Sorry. I'm.
Is that because you have a history of appearing on podcasts like ABW? Because the podcasters are the podcasters / journalists generally are looked upon a little differently than the print journalists.
No, I'm just bottom of the food chain, so like. And I would love to be high up the food chain, but I'm just not. So
you're gonna have to knock out James McNicholas and Charles Watts to climb that ladder.
If Gunnar Blog and Jane and Charles Watts want to go toe to toe, then we'll do it. But I don't think they want it. They don't want it. They don't want it. This is me. You can clip this up. This is me calling them out.
Yeah, I was gonna say I bet Watts would fight dirty. He's gonna get a full chunk of that hair.
Watts is on vacation right now, and McNicholas.
Yeah, Watts has had 2 weeks off. He's done.
You take the first 2 weeks off of the season, you go to the back of the line.
Love the way Simon criticizes Watts for having 2 weeks off because he's done while slugging on a pint.
Watts will come back and he'll be like, "Oh yeah, this is Arsenal were fucking fine, and we just did this shit."
And James, has done like 94 things for me over the last 3 weeks, and I was like, "Do you want this one off?" Because people are gonna get sick of seeing us together so much.
I think Nicholas is perhaps one of the nicest blokes I've ever met.
He's been he really actually he
just is. But then that's what the Arsenal means, like, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Well, so this went in a different direction than I was expecting. We had a little. So what can you tell us about Kaya?
Good bloke, lovely bloke.
Do you have to be over 6'8" or like incredibly handsome?
I would literally want to be his tailor, and I'll just sew his trousers for him. But
between him and James Ollie and McNicholas, they're all like. They're all just towering. They're hitting their heads on the top of the press box. It was weird.
I feel like this is a great time for us to play a game with Simon's word association. First word that comes to mind when we say a word, you just have to tell us.
Go.
Tom Canton.
Honest.
Oh. That's really the only person I had. I wanted something worse than that.
You're not going John Cross?
Yeah, no, I'm not going to put him in that.
Don't
position.
make that dude end his own career live on this.
You asked me about my word association with John Cross.
Well, the answer is Tomago.
Yeah, Simon, has the Kroenke's lawyer ever stepped in on you and told you that you can't ask a question?
Not for me.
Who else have they done it for then?
Andy's about to find out that he's in good company.
Were they like intersecting on the current tour or not?
No. The only person that got to talk to Josh on the current tour was our friend Aston Mack, who spent the entire Orlando City game in the box with Josh and Deni and Zinchenko, which was an amazing experience for him, which we will hear about later because he's going to be joining us shortly. But no, this was back in 2019. Stephen, there's no way Tom blocked you. Well, actually,
no, there is 100% way that Tom can't block. That's a fine fucking line that I've been walking for years.
You guys are best friends. You're invited to the wedding, and he still blocked you on Twitter.
I asked Josh a question, and immediately his lawyer ran to essentially yell at him, "Do not answer that." Mm-hmm. And it was essentially throwing the likes of Cross and Eoin under the bus in front of their faces because I just don't give a shit.
Well, but the question was, is one of the reasons that you don't speak as much, you and your dad don't speak as much because you're essentially concerned that compared to what, in the United States, what you say is going to be twisted into some sort of
bullshit headline.
Yeah.
Clickbait headline.
And they didn't let that one through in real time. They didn't let that one through.
Chasta's kicking off. Everybody's jumping up to who's blocked by Tom Canton.
It's amazing. I've never been blocked.
What's the heat coming from Tom Canton? I'm upset.
Oh, he loves it. I love Tom.
I'm going to his wedding in a few weeks. I gotta make sure that we don't get heat between now and then.
Yeah. One other thing, as a journalist, how is it going to be watching that All or Nothing documentary, getting a glimpse in behind the scenes to probably more than?
So I've seen the first 3 episodes. I've seen the first 3 episodes.
Oh, they're good.
And I've signed the NDA. It's like, I can't see anything. I cannot see anything.
Fair enough. It's fair enough.
I've seen the first 2 episodes.
Is it entertaining?
Just read us every other word.
All I will say is, just get to episode 3, and when you see episode 3, you will be like, "Yeah, that's the Arsenal I know. That's the Arsenal I know."
Mm-hmm.
Okay, that's good. When does it start?
It's just so like the first two episodes of the documentary, I was like, I'm literally just floating on the surface of this shit tsunami. And episode 3, I was like, right, okay, now I'm in here. Now you've got me hook, line, sinker. Fuck, this is good.
Do they do all episodes at the same time?
You watch episode 3 and you'll be like, fuck, this is good.
So there's a reason they did the break between 3 and 4.
Yeah, the first 3 episodes are shit. The first two episodes are fucking shit, man. Fucking shit.
I love how Simon said 9 years.
Spoilers.
No.
But the first episode is shit. The second episode is okay.
But see, that's probably because you're approaching it with the emotional trauma of living through that shit.
You'll watch episode 3 and you'll be like, fuck, give me the whole documentary. You watch episode 3 and you'll be on here being like, just inject it. Give it to me.
So now Andy knows exactly when to time his erection.
When do I not have one?
You don't want it to happen too early. I believe that we've actually seen...
You serve ice cream to kids. Please don't.
Yeah. I believe if there's any more like molesty kind of occupation, I don't know what is. But we've seen Simon descend into his blood alcohol level rise during the course of the podcast, which is fantastic. Any other questions that we have for Simon?
Simon, if you come on the pod another 9 times drunk, you'll match Feinberg's level of commitment.
Yeah. Well, look.
I know he's taking it off, but I'm about to find the audio of Mike drunk on the. He did take it off.
It's not even compelling because it's not in context. There's
but it doesn't matter. You took it off, you son of a bitch.
I took it off. Yeah, we've been asked by Gary to just have you giggle if All or Nothing is surprising.
All I will say is the.
You keep saying all I will say.
all I'm saying is,
Good. I thought it was unfair. I mean, look. I mean, I like the lineup.
First 2 episodes, you'll be sat there being like, quite good, and then you watch the episode and you'll be like, fuck, inject this whole thing to me. Trust me, episode 3, just stay with it. Because episode 3, you'll be like, fuck, this is.
How long of a break is there between the 2 sets?
Well, there's
I think like episode 1 is like 45 minutes. Episode 2 is like 30 minutes. But trust me, once you watch episode 3, you'll be like, fuck, this is it.
Have I got my journalism right here? You're here to say that episode 3 sucks?
Give John Cross.
No. Episode 3 is.
That would have been that would have been the headline in the Sun for Mark Irwin. You would have heard your entire conversation and then said, "Wind up merchant Simon Collings calls episode 3 a travesty."
Episode 3 will be, you'll be watching that. You will.
Now when Tom comes on in the morning, we have to ask him about episode 3. I'm like,
wait, has Canton seen it?
Yeah, he's got the first 3.
He should have done. He should have done. Yeah. But he'll be the same. He'll be like.
He read the whole transcript with me already. So episode 3, it's huge.
No, I guarantee you, if you go to Tom and say, "Hey, this is what Simon said," the first 2 are meh. The third, Tom won't give you a fucking peep. He will not tell you a thing.
You sound so much like my wife.
It's because he's honest.
Wait, she says the same thing about Canton?
Yeah, she's like, I want Canton to come here.
He's a very sought after man.
That's true. So, all right. So, what do you think is the height of Arsenal over the next couple years? I mean, I've wondered whether it's even worth trying to think about a club like Arsenal winning the title in the next 5 or 10 years, as long as Man City can do what they're doing. Liverpool would really be the example as to why that might not be the case, because they've been there or thereabouts for the last 4 or 5 years without doing things the way that Manchester City and Chelsea have. But, at some point, I just get numb to Man City winning titles and start thinking that getting second place would be about the best that you could hope for. Is that a loser attitude, or I mean, is there a possibility in the next 3 to 5 years a title could actually be won?
I'm gonna. Slightly concerned because my battery's running out here, so I've got 4%. If I die, that's why.
Don't die.
Don't die.
Don't die. No. But
and
I remember.
And if you are going to die, don't let it be because of your battery. Let it be because of another pint.
Yeah. No. No, but I remember being on a night out. It's kind of sentimental, but I was really drunk on a night out in London with another bloke, and he was a Blackburn Rovers fan, and we were sort of quite pissed and talking to each other. And he was like, I don't actually like winning. He was like, I just like the journey. I was like, that's really weird. He was like, I just like the journey we do together. He's like, I don't like, winning promotion or getting back in the Premier League. I just like living those sort of 8-9 months together. And I kind of feel like for these Arsenal fans, what they've got now is what that Blackburn Rovers fan had, sort of 2-3 years ago, where everyone is basically just enjoying what they're living now. And I think before, 2-3 years ago, no Arsenal fans would have thought about this, but now every Arsenal fan I speak to is like, they're excited, they're happy, and they think this could be the season. Things are different, and
I mean,
kind of think
that kind of statement. That statement sounds like something a guy who's been married and wife doesn't give him anything would say. But and speaking of as one of those guys, no, it is kind of almost a relief, and this is a weird thing to say. It's a relief for me, feeling like a league title, at least this season, a league title is just out of the question. We've all said,
Do you not find, Mike, you just want to enjoy it?
Oh, I always find that I want to enjoy it, and people keep trying to tell me that I can't. But for me, the reason picking us for third is because, to me, that would be for this one season, that and/or a Europa League win would be like a league. I understand the difference between third and first, but where we've been to where I would like to end this season, I think it's realistic. Like, keep me fully invested and excited throughout the entire year. And we can deal with the following year after that. We can deal with the year after that.
But what's wrong, Mike, with, I'm sorry, but football is about the what if. And as much as a fucking idiot as you might sound saying it, but it's always what if. That's the thing. It's the possibility of what if Liverpool flop and fuck up and go into the decline, and what if Man City have a shitty season, and what if we start brilliantly, and never know.
Those are things that are a little out of our control, though, so I don't want to get too heavily invested in what ifs that we can't control.
Yeah, but Mike, that's the whole point of being a fan, is about getting excited about that shit.
Yeah, you have to be realistic, Mike. I mean, if you would have asked any Arsenal supporter 10 seasons ago if this is where we would be, like, you don't know what's going to happen. As Simon said, you just have to go in and enjoy it and look at the variables we can control. We can win the FA Cup. We can win the Carabao Cup. We can win the Europa League. If you were to go into this season knowing, like, hey, you could be in the semifinals of those competitions, you wouldn't even think about the Premier League. You'd just be like, fuck it. So think about the variables you can be invested in. And we almost, like, I hate to say it, but Champions League football is the trophy for us because we're miles apart.
That's what I'm thinking. Like for this season, I'm comfortable saying that my top is, I mean, other than like the incredible, what I would just love to see is third or fourth place, and the journey to get there will be fun as long as we're not on the outside looking in. I mean, I just really, really think that this season will be one to enjoy because the pressure isn't necessarily there to finish first, but we have the team that could just go out and surprise people. So,
and I agree with the chat. The fact that Mike thinks that we're going to win the league is just absolutely outrageously silly. And
if that's what you've taken from what I've said,
I'm sorry that you still think it's 2002.
Yeah, well. So Simon, we're going to let you go. Our next guests are a pack of podcasters that have just finished up on their own channel, and Simon, you've put in a good hour from the pub with us, so we'll let you join the folks who are really there for you. I appreciate you joining us in your celebratory environment. Anything else you would like to put out there into the world tonight?
No, I'd just like to say, like, honestly, Mike, you do an outrageous amount of work for Gooners for Cancer, and it's a charity that means a lot to my family. My brother had cancer, and I just really appreciate all the things you guys do. So honestly, thank you so much. I really appreciate it.
Well, thank you, and Eoin and Andy and everyone else that helps me with this. The help is starting to really, really grow organically, and just love that we have such amazing people that can help to support it. So thank you, Simon. Appreciate it. And let's talk a little bit into the season.
Let's go, guys.
Cheers, Simon.
Cheers, boys.
Cheers, Simon. Take care.
All right. Lovely, man. Lovely.
He's so intimidatingly good looking.
It's kind of old to talk about the same things, the hair, the looks, but I mean,
the surprise of the podcast was a guest that I never thought I would have got to meet, which was the hand from the Addams family.
Yeah.
That was pretty fucking cool.
We didn't end up seeing where that hand went necessarily.
It
went down. It never came up.
Are you saying he has a small penis?
Everybody has to have a flaw. Come on, he can't be perfect.
That's true. Probably a guy like Collins is probably just carrying a hog. A
guy like who?
Simon.
No, that can't. There can't be that much going for
meat sausage down there.
He gets into the pool and his hog gets cold before his knees does.
Yeah. I love it that like during the pod he got progressively drunker, and
you could notice the difference. It was awful.
Yeah, I mean, he was like tipsy when we started, and then he looked like he was going to fall asleep. But then also the ratio of people in the chat room that have confided that Canton's blocked them.
Yeah,
I had no idea. Yeah, I mean, I thought his goal was to have as many people, like viewers and subscribers, as possible.
So I'm gonna bounce in a minute. But Mike, I know that we have our big last hour with the boys, but again, putting this together, dude, and I know what you, Eoin, Jared are about to embark on with your crazy ass
Mikey.
Well, he says he's gonna do it, but I don't think he will.
I don't even worry about it.
There is going to be some moment during this Pod-A-Thon that there will be a pinata that he needs to go and break, and he's just going to leave. I really like.
He told me he couldn't start until like 1 a.m. tonight because he had to go sombrero shopping. I mean,
he's fine. Mexicans don't need to sleep anyway.
He's probably roofing somewhere right now.
Jesus. Hey, Zeus.
He's listening. He's in the chat room.
I know. And hey, guys, he likes it when we do this. We just have to put that on.
Oh, so
how many wardrobe changes are you going
through? I've got a whole group of
like fucking stars in your eyes or something.
And
I thought that was a joke. I gave a shaved ice away yesterday to this little kid because he was wearing the new black kit, and he came up with 4 other kids, and then they were like, "Oh, you didn't charge us enough." I was like, "The kid gets it for free."
Were they creeped out by that, or did?
No, I didn't stand up, so they didn't have it. Hey guys, hit the like button. Fucking animals are listening to us. You can at least hit the like button.
Yeah,
and subscribe.
I never. Hit the like, subscribe, the dislike, unsubscribe. I mean, whatever. As long as you're pressing buttons.
Dublin, that's extremely racist. You're talking about Spanish people.
Yeah.
Come on, man.
Mm-hmm. Dublin's he's just eliminated himself from eligibility for any of the prize draws. Speaking of which, go to goonersvcancer.com, get a leg up on your competition, and we were going to be doing our next prize draw at 11 p.m. UK time, 6 p.m. Eastern time for another Ruth Beck art print. Go to buyruthbeckart.com. Again, the earlier you get, people are waiting for some odd reason. They're waiting to get their donations in, and the longer you wait, the less prize draws you will be a participant in. Mm-hmm. We are now at 1,450 for the Pod-A-Thon, and that extra 50 is Vincent Eagle, who not only donated through a super chat in the first hour, but has now done it directly through the site as well. Vincent, I am going to put you in for a number of tickets that reflects both together rather than just the one for the site. So,
Big Vinny, legend.
Yeah, Vinny, big up to Vinny, and thank you for your support. And we are all supportive of you.